Yeah.
Bullshirt Podcast.
Half-Life.
Dude, I wanted to see how long we would sit in silence before someone said something.
People checking their phones like something's wrong. Well, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, there's something wrong, but
Yeah,
Yep.
there's the problem right there.
Well, sometimes in life you've got to do hard things, and I've got a Dougism fresh off the press. Are you ready for it?
that's
I'm
what
ready.
she said.
Get out the paper bag, boys. It's time to fuck this gorilla.
All right, you're going to have to explain that one.
Because you gotta bag the face.
Oh,
see?
so
So that you
gorilla's meaning that it's an unattractive person that you're going
Right.
to be copulating with.
Yes.
Right, and it has to be
Oh.
done. So get out the paper bag, boys. Let's fuck this gorilla.
Gotcha. Okay, because in my mind, I was thinking you were actually having sexual relations with a simian, and so it
Yeah.
didn't.
I mean that too, but
That too.
also
And I just
Exactly.
feel like a bag would be the least of your fucking problems because those things can like literally rip your arms off. So
Well, it goes back to an old joke. There are 5 guys. They're trapped on a desert island, and there's no one there but a gorilla. So, and I'm going to say straight out of the gate, there are some people who may find this joke offensive. So they decide they're going to go to the other side of the island after they've been there a couple of months, and they're going to go fuck the gorilla. So they get a paper bag, and all of them grab the gorilla. One of them grabs an arm, the other one grabs an arm, one grabs a leg, the other one grabs a leg, and one just jumps in and starts going to town. Well, the gorilla starts fighting and fighting and fighting, and the gorilla breaks free the leg and grabs a hold of the guy's waist, and then breaks loose another one, arm on the other side, grabs a hold of the guy, grabs a shoulder, breaks loose the other 2 arms, and just grabs the guy and is just ramming it into itself. And the guy just starts screaming, "Take the bag off, take the bag off." And they're like, "What is it?" And he's like, "I want to kiss the bitch." That's the way the joke goes. It's a horrible telling of a horrible joke, but grab the paper bag, boys. It's time to fuck the gorilla.
all right, and have a great day, guys.
That's all we got. All right, so I'll give you one. Guy, it's his first. It's his first tour of duty in this remote country, and there's no women in this town that he lives in, or that he's staying in. And so the other guys in his unit are like, "Yeah, there's a horse down by the river," and because he asks, he said, "Well, what do we do when we start, getting the urge?" And they're like, "Oh, there's this horse we keep down by the river." And he says, "Okay, that's kind of odd." So weeks go by, and he's fine with it, whatever. And then finally one night, man, he's just dying. He has just got to get him some. So he goes down to the river and he just starts banging the shit out of this horse, right? And of course, the horse is making a bunch of noise. So his unit comes down and his sergeant comes down and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, I'm horny as hell." He says, "You guys told me that the horse is here for that." And they're like, No. He's like, "You're supposed to ride the horse across the river to the other town where the women are at." So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good
So,
shit.
yeah, he did the wrong thing.
He did, and that's the joke there, guys. That's what makes it funny, is he fucked a horse when he didn't have to.
Well, it was there was this guy. He was sitting there on a park bench, and he was all alone. This kid comes up to him, and he's like, "Hey, what's wrong, mister?" And he's like, "Well, I've fed the hungry, I've taken care of the homeless. I've helped those in need all of my life. And nobody remembers me for any of that. I've done everything I can to be charitable, helped people out in any circumstance that you can imagine. But you fuck one goat.
I used to, just to get a rise out of people, I used to say, man, you fuck 100 chicks as a musician and no one remembers. You suck one fucking cock in college and no one will let you forget about it. So, I like triggering homophobes. It amuses me when people think I'm gay. People thought I was gay all the way up through fuck, probably recently, but definitely through middle school and shit. And I've always said, dude, if I were gay, I would be fucking fabulous. Just absolutely fucking fabulous. So, well, that's what I said, probably up until recently. So,
Well, because I know you and because you have a Harley and a tattoo and a Jeep, and you've made them all just about as manly as you can make them.
manly.
I would think if you were to go gay, you would be like uber gay. I don't think there would be any halfway.
Oh, no.
I think
No.
you would be the dude that shows up to work with makeup and like a glitter star next to one eye.
I knew you were going there. That's how I went to went to the McDonald's drive-through, and the guy that waited on me was had pink nail polish on. Actually, very well done at that. I've tried to paint my fingernails black, and it looks like an epileptic fucking one-eyed 3-year-old did it. So I got to give him credit. I'm still going to refer to him as him because, chromosomes and all that. But at the same time, let your freak flag fly. I could give a fuck less. Like I said, you guys have heard me bitch about it. Just don't get mad at me because I say ma'am or sir. I look at a person. Did you assume my gender? Yes. Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. Right? Just like I assumed that's a
I
horse. That's
haven't
a
had
dog.
that happen before, but yeah,
Having somebody get pissy with you because you assume their gender.
yeah,
Part of that, I think, is your age. Excuse me, being a fellow millennial, right? A lot of the people that are in that place in their life are definitely lashing out at the patriarchy, if you will, right? And because I am an older cisgender white male, they, what always kind of cracks me up is that people that are transgender or people that are in that confused phase, I'll take shit for using the word confused, probably, right? The females always try to look like males. Well, why do you feel the need to look like a male, or what society says is a male or looks like a male, right? I think that alone tells you everything you need to know. I've known plenty of gays, for instance, that you would never know because I have a lesbian friend who's just fucking adorable. I love her to death, and she's gorgeous. Doesn't Now her wife is a little more butch, whatever. Again, I've told the story of my buddy John that I had no fucking clue he was gay. He dipped and had a big old Ford truck. People probably thought he was a gay bashing redneck, but yeah, it's happened to me a few times actually. And like I said, like as Doug pointed out, I think with like the Harley and the Jeep and the beard, I think people stereotype me just like they tell you not to do other people, right? Which is a little frustrating.
With
everyone
me,
stereotypes everybody. Like
I would
everyone,
agree.
because
I would
like
agree.
if you're walking down the street, right, and someone's walking down the street coming towards you, and they have a gun in their hand. I mean, I probably wouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, they're just chilling with their gun.
Yeah, they're just hanging out, dude.
Or if they had their cock in their hand.
You should-
Either way.
yes, Doug.
It's
Cock.
like, right. I'd be like, oh, they're perfectly normal. As they're
Yeah,
going down
probably.
the fucking road. Chocolate milk, jerking fucking off, Yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever it is with another person, because the thing is, it's been a personality trait of mine for God knows how long. I want to deal with pleasant human beings. The best way to engage with another person and have it be a pleasant experience, if there's a thing there that you can see that they obviously need, a compliment, or whatever, calling them by their preferred pronoun, not giving them shit about something, or, and it's like, if I walk up to somebody with, whatever,
The old
but
whatever.
the old whatever, I'm going to try the best I can to make that a positive interaction, because if I try to feed that into that, I usually get that back. There are some people that just walk around pissed off at the world, and even that's its own little form of amusement for me.
Hey, I'm right here.
Yeah,
All right.
I know. Still no fucks. Hey, is that a bear? Poke, 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 poke.
I think that everybody likes to.
Dan has confirmed a bear now.
I see. At my size, I'd think of more of a twink, but I guess at my age,
You could,
No,
I mean,
it's not.
you're hairy. You could pull it off.
Yeah, with the beard.
You just
Yeah,
gotta
you're right.
eat some more McDonald's, and you
He
can do
Was
it.
wouldn't be a bear. He'd be a badger.
Badger.
Small but feisty.
That's a new one. There's like several gay men out there just now that were like, ooh.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I like this badger. I think everyone likes compliments. One of the things in my late teens, early 20s, I was real deep into body language. Like I read a bunch of books on body language and interactions and like how to negotiate, kind of that, win friends and influence people kind of bullshit. And one of the things that I remember learning is that everybody likes to talk about themselves, right? So if you, like Doug said, if you meet somebody, you say something about their shirt, about their car, their clothes, their jewelry, whatever. And it starts things off as a positive interaction. And it sounds manipulative, or it sounds like you're being deceptive, but you're really not. You're just opening up those lines of communications and being positive and saying nice things, right? I mean, it's kind of common sense, really. Like if I just walk up to Doug and I've never seen him before in my life, and I look him up and down and be like, wow, you're a fat old fuck. I mean, that's how Doug and I talk to each other now.
Freeze
but-
frame. This is where he fucked up.
Right.
Well,
When keeping it real goes wrong.
well, see, we have a different philosophy, and I did not put my shit on Do Not Disturb.
That fucking
Yes.
guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
am that fucking guy. But, I'm kind of old school when it comes to my friendships, and there are a lot of cultures that turn friendship on its head, where the less familiar you are with a person, the more polite you are.
Oh, absolutely.
And as you get to know them, like Japanese culture is like this, there are several other cultures that are like this. It's when you don't know somebody, or you're just getting to know them, or you don't know them very well, you put like "san" on the end of their name as an honorific, and you're nicer and the whole nine yards.
Or saying sir, ma'am, same
Right.
same thing.
And I've been that way with relationships for God knows how long. The less I know somebody, the more polite I am with them.
Sure.
And since I like to talk shit, the closer I am with people, sometimes the more shit I talk. It's just the way that it goes. It's, all of my friends, we used to greet each other with insults.
Oh God, dude. Yeah. The
Used
more I
to.
like you, the meaner I am. I know, used to.
I mean,
Yeah, it's the more I like you, the meaner I am to you. It's like being on the playground,
yeah.
as a third grader.
And I fucking love it.
Right? I've always been that way, and there was one instance many years ago where I was working at Red Lobster. I was a server at Red Lobster, and it's a fun environment. If you've never waited tables, it's a if you've seen the movie Waiting, short of like the bat wing and spitting in people's food, uh, it's very accurate. It's a fucked up ecosystem.
The most
And
accurate part is that Dan Cook's working in a restaurant.
true story.
But
Evidence. So there's this girl, and I forget what I said, but a couple of the other servers were like, "Oh my god, dude, you had her crying, right?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I go back, and I'll never forget because it clicked with me at that point how I am, and I told her, I said, "Dude, we've just always," I said, "I play rough," and you know, and we got over it. But it made me realize that I play rough with people that I care about or people that are my friends. And I've tried to tell people that when they think some people get a little overwhelmed by it or it becomes too much for them. And I try to explain to them, you know, if you look at the way I interact with people, if I don't joke with you, and it's kind of like to Doug's point, right? If I don't know you or if I don't like you or I don't have that relationship with you, I don't make jokes and I don't pick on you and I don't say shit. But beyond that, I'm a dude. Like, and I've had a lot of dude jobs, right? Digging ditches and roofing and driving truck
working
and
at the ranch.
working at the old ranch.
A lot of dude jobs at the
Down
dude
with
ranch.
the Dimmador, that guy.
Yeah, the Dimmadome.
Dimmadomes. I worked on the Dimmadome Ranch. The Dimmadomes. Um, so I've always just kind of been a dude in that sense, and I have offended a lot of people. And before I forget, Doug, you mentioned the Japanese, and one of the tattoos that I've been wanting to get on my right forearm for a while, it comes from a Japanese. I don't know.
What, like a proverb kind of a thing?
Kinda, yeah. And it's the three faces, and the three faces are there's the face that you show the public. There's the face that you show your friends and family, and then there's the face that you show no one, right? And I remember the first time I saw that, and it kind of reminds you of the theater masks, but there's three of them, and like the top one's all Mr. Smiley, and then the middle one, and then by the time you get to the bottom one, it's a little more dark, and I really like that because I feel like much like you, I kind of I subscribe to that in that. Um, there's people that I just meet and I'm very, like you said, very polite and well mannered. And then there's my friends. And then there's those kind of dark moments and thoughts that go on in your own head that you don't really share with other people, right? Or you're a very small group. So, but that was just kind of interesting because you're right. The Japanese are very much like that, right? If you don't know somebody, you put a lot of respect on their name.
And a lot of Middle Eastern cultures are the same way. It's like, and I'm not trying to stereotype here because I've ran into them everywhere, but the first time that I ran across it was in a convenience store, and it was a guy behind the counter, and he was insanely polite and kept calling me friend the entire time.
yeah. And it's not a stereotype. A lot of Middle Easterners have that, their bazaars and merchants.
It's not that weird. It's not that weird.
Open
Dan.
markets. It's a trade is very common, and they come over here. They save up their money, and that's what they do. Just talking about stereotypes. Everybody stereotypes everybody, like Adam said. There was a comedian, and he was a black guy, and he was talking about stereotypes and things like that. And he says, "Look, man," he said, "if I'm walking down the street and three young dudes are coming at me with the big puffer jackets and their pants pulled down and all that," he says, "I'm across the fucking street." It's not about color or anything else. You see some people and your head just goes, "I don't know about this dude." And they may be the nicest person in the world, right? But there are just certain things that you look at.
They might be,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like to gamble.
Not in. Yeah, I've never been much of a gambler.
Never
right?
been much of a better.
Exactly.
Especially when the odds are fucking stacked against me.
Exactly. And if I see somebody that makes me pause, then I'm gonna go with the stereotype. Now, I don't assume that every black person is a fucking criminal or a drug addict or whatever, and I
No.
don't think every Middle Eastern dude is a fucking terrorist, right? To me, it goes down to the person themselves. If they
Yeah.
look like they're fucking thugging,
Or if they look like they're cracked out of their fucking mind.
right?
They're like shaking, looking over their fucking shoulder. It's like, oh, nah, give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure he's good. Yeah, I'm sure he's good.
Well, when it comes to all of the above, I've got a bullshit uneducated theory, if you'd like to hear it.
Well,
I'm ready.
we still got about a half hour to go, so might as well.
Well, I mean, my bullshit uneducated theory is it all goes back to self hate. All of it. Anything with labels. Because throughout the years, I mean, as far as you start rolling back the clock, you can take a lot of groups and it seems to be, we don't like being called this anymore. We want to be called this. And then they get called that. And then they get tired of that label and they're like, well, we don't want to be called this anymore. Now we want to be called that. And it seemed that, the older I get, the more cyclical that seems to become. It's like, don't call me this, call me that. And I think there's a lot of people, by and large, who are uncomfortable in their own skin. And there's a lot of self-hatred there. And that label, they wrap that up with it. And that's what it becomes. And now I think, just here's my bullshit uneducated theory. Now that social media has gotten so large, self-hate has gone to a whole new level because, you've got everybody out there posting their best moments in life with a filter. And, person X picks up the phone, and as opposed to realizing that is a singular prepared moment in time, this is that person's entire life, and they hate themselves even worse. So I think that's, as far as this whole, getting offended at the drop of a hat thing, I think it all goes back to self-hate. I could be totally fucking wrong, but it seems to me that's what's feeding it.
I would agree, and it's funny that about a halfway through your bullshit theory, the back of my head, I was thinking Instagram, right? And I gave up Facebook again about a month or so ago. It got overwhelming, and it just seems the way that it's built now, the algorithm, the way that it just everything about it just irritates me more than I enjoy it anymore.
It feels like you're sitting down to watch a TV show and it never starts. You're just watching ads for 2 hours.
Right. It never starts and it never stops. There's no it's really weird, man. I don't know. It's not what it used to be, and it's just it's not fun or enjoyable anymore. But I did stay on Instagram because as a photographer, an amateur photographer, I do like the imagery, and you gotta be selective, and you gotta find the right stuff. I follow a lot of I have two accounts. One of the accounts is a personal account, and I follow a lot of photography sites and stuff, a lot of how-tos and things like that. The other one is just for the Jeep community. It's how I learn about new Jeep things and fucking products that I need to spend my money on.
Do you have a Jeep?
Yeah, I do. I have a Harley too. I don't know if you know that I ride, but I ride. So
I never knew that.
about you. I'm just saying, really, because we went vertical in it one day, and I remember you screaming, "Oh God!" for good reason, by the way. Like I said,
we were looking at the sky.
We were literally vertical, yeah. But what's interesting about that, right, is that other shit creeps in, and I'm looking at, like, for the women, and even with photography pages, I'm looking at all these women, and these women are phenomenal bodies and beautiful faces, and $10,000 worth of ink and all that, and you look at them, And as a male, right, our first thought is, I'd fuck that, you know. But the thing is that is a real human being, and as a real human being, they have, you know, days where there's no makeup and they're not posed perfectly, and the amount of lighting, like, again, as a photographer, I see it, and then I follow like Paul Bluff is they make lighting um, uh, accessories and stuff, and
Yeah,
they have
mall
neat
cop.
ones. Yeah, they have neat. That was a horrible movie. They have neat Instagram stories where they'll show the picture and then they show how they did it, right? All the lighting and stuff. And I mean, these guys will have 3, 4 lights, 2 or 3 reflectors, you know, and all this stuff. So my point is that there's nothing like real about it. That is not everyday life, not even fucking close. But for people who don't know that, right? Years I've been fucking with Photoshop for probably 15 years. I'm horrible at it, but the amount of retouching, like if you look at a woman, you're like, oh my god, she has great skin. She has no pores, bro. Every human being has pores, and she doesn't have any. She's been fucking retouched to all hell. That's not what she looks like. I used to share this retouching video that some body positive group put out, and it was fucking incredible because the chick comes out, she's in a red bikini and, you know, attractive physically, but she's a little thicker. She's got a little extra meat here and there, and her nose is a little crooked or something. And they go through this time lapse of them fixing her, and then I shouldn't use that word, not fixing her, but making her look more like I guess people want her to look.
Well,
And
you could call it morphing and be accurate.
and it really is. Yes, morphing is an absolutely much better word, and it kind of bothers me that I use the word fixing, and that's kind of bouncing around in my head. But I'll deal with that later. Um, Morphing her into this more socially acceptable, you know, person. And even the body positive Instagram accounts are doing it. You know, I'm happy with my body, whatever. And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, the fucking door jamb is warped in to your hip, bitch.
You can see the background fucking warped where
Yeah.
they're pushing their belly in. Yeah.
Bitch is so hot she warps fucking time space around her. You know, and it's like, wow, fuck you for doing that, because at least with some of the body positive Instagram accounts and Facebook pages and stuff, you're showing women that, you know, there was one, she's a model, and she was showing how when she, you know, your head back and twisted this way, how it makes your hips look slimmer and all that. And then she turns and just faces the camera and kind of slouches a little bit. And it's like, you know, and it's just a reminder that modeling and photography and all that is, I don't want to call it fake, but it's very prepared. Like Doug said, it's a moment in time with a lot of preparation. Again, there are ways, you know, that you're supposed to photograph men versus women and poses and angles and things to make things, you know, enhance certain things.
Well,
But I think that when people are fucking inundated with that perfect quote unquote, yeah, how could you look in the mirror and think that you're even slightly attractive? You don't have the cars, you're not on vacation. But then you've got like I think Denver's got the Selfie Museum.
Jesus Christ, really?
Whatever. Yeah, so what it is it's kind of fun. It's neat, and I wouldn't mind going and checking it out. But it's like a big warehouse with a bunch of like sets, right? And I think it's even got like the fuselage of a private jet, right? Just like a chunk of it, to where if you're sitting in it, it looks like you're in a private jet, right?
Oh God,
Right.
Let's
really?
go.
Right? That's why I said I think it
Let's
would be
go.
fun to go
Yeah, but
just to see it, because I think it'd be silly. But there are people who go and do it, and then are like, hashtag fucking private jet, you know. And yeah, if I were to do that, you two would be like, what a dick. Quit being a fucking dick. But if I'm out on Instagram and people don't know who the fuck I am, I can create my own narrative. I can create my own existence at that point, right?
well, I'm going to say, like, the best way to look at all of the above. People are, well, at least you know, a lot of people. When you've got something like a fight, and you have professional fighters. And before that fight, rounds are 3 minutes apiece. In boxing, most time the maximum amount of rounds that you're going to have is 12. So you're talking 36 total minutes of fighting. For that 36 total minutes of fighting, that person has been training for 6 months or a year before that.
Yeah,
Just
their
to
whole lives
prepare,
typically.
right, to prepare for that one fight. And Instagram, I would say at that, really top level, to where you've got these people that actually are ridiculously gorgeous, ridiculously in shape, that whole 9 yards. That moment is sort of, the buildup of all of the above. It's almost, in sort of an analogy, that's kind of the orgasm. Somebody, it's like somebody bought dinner, you guys went to a movie, you went dancing, there was all these before activities that took God knows how long. You had sex for 5 minutes or 50 minutes or however long, but all of that was leading up to that one moment, and what you're getting is that final, okay, this is where I am, and I totally captured that moment. They don't take pictures of them sitting there wishing they could have a fucking cheeseburger when they walk past the McDonald's. Jesus Christ. I really want to go in there and get a quarter pounder and a shake right now, but I can't because, yada, yada, yada.
So you're
Right.
saying the Instagram post is the orgasm?
Yeah.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck yeah! I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna see how fast I can get banned from Instagram.
Well, knowing some models, some like honest to God professional models, these women, you talk about McDonald's and shit, right? These women work out, no shit, 6-8 hours a day, right? They have skincare routines that take 2 or 3 hours a fucking day. They have to worry about everything they put into their body. So again, the ones that are realistic about it will tell you that it's not, they don't just like get up out of bed and look like that, right? They spend a lot of fucking time. I met a woman here in Denver actually, going to the gym. I complimented her tattoo, and turns out she's a model. She's a fitness model. I mean, and this woman, there wasn't a part on her you couldn't have bounced a fucking quarter. She was phenomenal. But we talked about it, and yeah, she was there because I told her, "Man, you're always here," and she's scared, tell me what she does and everything. And she spends like her light days in the gym are 4 hours light. I'm like, bitch, please. I'm here for an hour and do about 4 minutes worth of work, But I've had other women tell me that do modeling and stuff like that, the shit that they do. And it's insane. And you get your Tyra Banks. I think it was her that said, like, all right, cheeseburgers and, whatever. Well, yeah, everybody's, got different metabolisms.
Well,
and whatnot,
they
but-
can, there's just like us, hey, I'm 47 now. When I was 17, yeah, as
Sure.
long as I went out and got some sort of physical activity in,
Right.
I could shove whatever amount of garbage that I wanted to in my face, but afterwards I would go out and play tennis for 4 hours.
Right. And you burn off, thousands of fucking calories. And
Yeah.
people talk about these women that look still great in their 50s. It's like, well, but the thing is that they've done that for 30 plus years. They've had that lifestyle. So they haven't really changed much by the time they hit 50 and 60. They've been working out, they've ate well. And then at the point that they're 50 or 60, right, and they've been doing modeling and everything, they have money. And folks,
Money buys a lot.
Money can buy you health. It absolutely can. I mean, look at the politicians and wealthy folks that got the what's it called, Regeneron or whatever it was for COVID. You know what I'm talking about, the antibody thing.
Yeah, Regeneron, because they had money, right? When you have money, you can go and have your skin fixed. You can have your teeth fixed. I'm 40, I'll be 46 next weekend, and I'm just now fixing my teeth because it's only now that I have the money to do it. It's very fucking expensive.
Personally, I can eat anything I want, and then I work it off when I'm trying to take B site with my boys. We'll hop on Discord call, and we'll try to flank around B, and I'll run around. I'll hold shift to make sure I'm sprinting and burning the maximum amount of calories. And I block off the site for them. They come in, and then I'll plant the bomb, and then they'll come in from the top, and I'll tell them where there's two guys CT, there's two guys coming heaven, and they'll see where they are,
Uh-huh.
and then I can jump up on top of.
So what you're saying is you're on that siege diet, right?
So
That
I
Rainbow
bounce
Six
around.
siege diet.
So the thing is, if you do the same workout every day,
You plateau.
you plateau.
Yeah,
So you got to change it
absolutely.
up. So some days I'm on Valorant, some days I'm on Siege.
Yeah.
Lately I've been trying Splitgate. That seems to be getting the cardio up because you can jump a little bit higher, and there's a jetpack double jump mechanic.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah,
Phew.
so-
Those jetpack double jumps, buddy.
Dude,
Remember those from high school football?
I'm hitting them with the space. Like
I like that cut my earbuds out 3 times. Like it was so loud. So you got that fucking heavy thumb, dude.
yeah, I'm getting it in. I'm
Hey
burning.
man, I
these-
play video games through the fucking winter. I mean, when it's cold and shitty out, I have no issues. People are like, "You're 46 years old and you play video games?" Yeah,
Yeah.
I am of that generation, man. I'm the Nintendo generation. Fuck yeah, I play video games and I enjoy the fuck out of them. And I've got a high-end machine that can play those fucking video games, and I will never apologize for that. What's the difference? You know what fucking kills me is the same people that talk shit or give me shit for playing video games will sit their fat asses down and binge watch Sex in the City, for fucking
Or
4
whatever.
hours. Right. So it's just like, nah, fuck that. We all have that thing that, what do they call it? Not occupies, but it
that burns calories.
yeah, it burns brain calories. There's plenty of things that we use to
What's all
distraction. Thank
Yeah.
you. Damn it, my brain was right
You couldn't
there.
think of
Thank
the
you.
fucking word distraction.
No, I
Damn
was-
brain, no worky.
I was distracted.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. We all have distractions, right? And fuck, sex is a distraction. Drinking is a distraction. And for me, video games, and I don't even play any single player games anymore that I can think of.
I do. You want to know what it is?
Is it
You want to know what it is?
Half-Life?
Yes, it's
Half-Life.
right now it's Half-Life 2.
Half-Life 2. He got very excited. That was creepy.
I do. Motherfucker, Half-Life.
I played Half-Life. I played the original Half-Life like in the 90s, late 90s, early aughts. So for me, it's a social thing. Like in the wintertime when we're all stuck, we live in Colorado for fuck's sake. There's no telling what's going to happen. And when there's 23 inches of snow outside, I jump online and play 7 Days to Die or Gears of War or Don't Starve Together or whatever ignorant fucking game we decide on. And I'll sit here and sip on whiskey with these headphones on, talking shit to Doug and Adam and whoever else.
And
And-
figuring out a way to make the game implode.
Especially with Don't Starve. How many rabbits can you spawn at once? And I don't
Lots.
apologize for it, but because I don't watch TV. I'm not a TV watcher. I do like movies, especially sci-fi or zombie flicks, one or the other. Which, by the way, I finally finished Army of the Dead last night.
Nice.
That is the most lumbering, pointless fucking movie that they could have ever spent money on. I hope Batista made a lot of money because fuck that movie and fuck
I'm
Zack
sure he
Snyder
did.
for making that movie.
What is it? Let me guess. It's like forever long.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. And I got about halfway through and it was just so fucking boring. And I made a comment and a buddy of mine said, yeah, you didn't miss anything by not making it to the end. He said, it
Holy shit.
it goes fucking nowhere. So Wednesday night,
It's
After,
definitely not a cinematic masterpiece. I
dude,
mean,
it's awful.
that's kind of like one of those video games on Steam that cost $4.99, and
You
then
know what you're getting.
you play it for 45 minutes, and you're like, yeah, I know why this was
$4.99.
$4.99. Yeah, and that movie's kind of a similar way. I actually
Yeah, I
watched
wasn't.
it all the way through, but it was, there are many times. It's it with movies. I've kind of got, um, I guess it would be selective OCD. There, as long as we can get past a few things. But there are certain things that, like, where there's that moment that triggers something that's like, oh, that's bullshit. And if I can get past those obstacles, I can watch practically anything. And I, there are very few great movies
Oh,
made
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Most of, in the in the market for content, there has to be so much content produced, and not everything's going to be a cinematic masterpiece.
Right.
And I kind of accept that going into a lot of it. Um, there are certain things that I've just gotten almost totally burnt out on, because Jesus Christ, I used to love to go watch superhero movies back when those were the rarity as opposed to being the standard. But now it's like a new superhero movie comes out, and I'm like, I don't want to go fucking see it, because they're going to be doing all this weird shit, and they have to make it all tie together. So the story itself has to be forced in certain ways to accommodate this or accommodate that.
Remember when he died? Just kidding. He didn't actually die. So what had happened was,
Yeah, but as a comic book fan
Well, they
from
did
way
that.
back, that's just what they did.
Yeah,
you
it's
they
know?
did
ridiculous.
that in
I hate
comic books
superheroes.
all the time.
Yeah,
And,
hate it.
when they did it in the modern era, there were a lot of people that I knew prior to Marvel being bought by Disney, which, they're moving story shit around to make stuff fit. And they sort of did the same damn thing with Star Wars. After I watched the first new Star Wars movie where they turned a planet into a Death Star,
it was the same fucking movie, dude.
it was, and it was like at that point where I went into fuck you Mickey Mouse mode.
Right.
It's like, because people tell me all the time about this cool shit that they saw on Disney Plus, and I'm like, that's great. I'm still not getting it, because fuck
No.
Mickey Mouse.
I'm not. It's not worth it to me. Like, there's some. I had no real interest in the Mandalorian because it just felt like a money grab. I mean, it's all money grab, right? Let's
Yeah.
not be fucking stupid here.
That's what a
But-
franchise is made for.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, there are certain things like I want to see the new Spider-Man, No Way Home, and they're going to open up the concept of the multiverse, and that's going to be interesting to see, because at that point it's all bets are off once the multiverse is open. Because in the comic books, of the Marvel comic books, it's Earth, the Earth that everything happens on is known as like Earth-253 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact of the multiverse, the fact that there are all these other dimensions and shit. And they did that in comic books so they could tell stories like Secret Wars, which is where Venom eventually came from because of the symbiote suit and things like that. I get it, but at the same time, it starts getting really sloppy, right? And that's my only concern with it.
Well, it's just like when you get a series, like you get a series, you're really into it, and you can tell the writers ran out of ideas because they start introducing shit like time travel.
Right. It gets, it gets lazy. And that's one of the things that I can't, you talked about the things that you can't, certain things you can't get past. One for me is dialogue. Like dialogue, and in the last Star Wars movies, the dialogue fucking murdered me. I was like, oh God. And then, yes, that lazy ass writing, that
some Deus Ex Machina that comes out of nowhere that saves the fucking day or lets them out of the situation they brought themselves into.
Yeah. And
It's
it's
fucking
just
annoying.
like, man, come on. Just this is fucking tripe.
And then they woke up because we'd all a dream.
Right, and
Roll credits.
that that will put me into a murderous rage faster than anything. The old wake up, and I think, to be honest, oddly enough, the first time I remember that was a show called Dallas, and J.R. Ewing.
Oh Jesus!
Remember Who Shot J.R.?
Man, you took a big ride in the fucking Wayback Machine on that one.
Uh-huh. Old J.R. Ewing. Who Shot J.R. Ewing? Because you had Dallas and Falcon Crest. And I think they were even on like back to back, and they were basically like nighttime soap operas. They had better production value, and
Yeah. For those of you not as old as we are, and when I say we, I mean specifically myself and Dan at this point, because Adam, nowhere in this. I don't remember what night it was, but there were 3 shows back to back, and it was designed. They had set it up that way to get the entire family in front of the television, and it was like Dukes of Hazzard, which the kids were there for, led into Dallas, which the adults were there for, and then there was like Falcon Crest after that.
If I remember correctly,
pretty much after Dukes of Hazzard, I was checked out, but that's what they were going for.
Yeah, like you said, you still kind of hung out in front of the TV, and
well, I didn't. It was like, that was the point at which for me to leave, and then the adults stayed.
Right.
Right.
But you got that big swath right there of
Right.
advertising eyeballs, and I just, Dallas, the premise was, of course, they were in Texas, and they were a big oil baron family, and all the trials and tribulations of that, I guess. And at one point, a character, J.R. Ewing, and I can't remember the guy that played him. I can see his face, and he was really popular back then. But someone kills him, right? And it's a huge fucking deal, right? Because the show was just big. This is back, linear television, when you couldn't just order everything when you wanted to watch it. And I think kids, I feel bad for kids, because there was something about, dude, we gotta go. It's fucking almost 7, dude. Dukes of Hazzard is gonna be on, right? And you ran fucking home to make sure that you got there in time to see Daisy Duke. So somebody shoots and kills J.R. Ewing, and they run this out for like a fucking season, right? And it's just like, oh my God, who the fuck killed J.R. Ewing? And I think at the end of it, it turns out to be a dream.
Wait. You didn't say spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, I think this went off the air in 82. So,
the only thing is, like, occasionally that I would watch a little bit of Dallas 4 was Victoria Principal. Jesus Christ. Even as knee high to a grasshopper, she was hot. She was one of those people. She was so good looking at the time. It was like, if I would have got around her at that age, I wouldn't have been a horn dog. I'd just been sitting there just blubbering all over myself going, you're so purty. Because she was smoking.
Yeah, she was. I was looking up to see. It was November 21st, 1980.
I remember that.
I figured you would. 350 million people around the world tune in to television's popular primetime drama Dallas to find out who shot J.R. Ewing. The character fans love to hate J.R. J.R. had been shot on the season-ending episode the previous March. And I was next 8 months. It started in 1978 and ran 12 seasons. Digger Barnes, the family's patriarchs, Jock Ewing and Digger Barnes, Patrick Duffy, Victoria Principal, there she is. I was trying to find, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, here we go. The shooting of JR wasn't Dallas's only notorious plot twist. In September 1986, fans learned that the entire previous season in which main character Bobby Ewing had died was merely a dream of Pam's. The show's writers had killed the Bobby character off because Duffy had decided to leave the show. So it wasn't JR that part wasn't the dream. So it was later on. But yeah, so it was the whole it was the whole fucking, dream. That's the first time I remember the dream. It was all just a dream being used. And now whenever I see shows or movies starting to go towards that, I'm like, no, don't you do it. So,
yeah, that just pisses me off to no end.
It's
when you're sitting
lazy.
there and you get really involved in something, and then we're like, "Oh, it was all a dream."
Yeah.
In my head, you could replace "it was all just a dream" with "this has all been bullshit."
Yeah, fuck. And then the fucking producer comes on screen. He's like, yeah, fuck you. And it rolls credits.
Fucking throwing money in the air.
Pretty much.
Tom Cruise's character from Tropic Thunder. Les Nessman, whatever it was. Grossman. Les Grossman.
My least
I was
favorite
about
one
to
was
say Les
Dexter.
Nessman was WKRP in
KRP.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That's in the Wayback Machine.
Ooh, what was her name? The blonde from that.
Oh God! Jesus Christ! She was in
Lonnie Anderson.
Yeah, she was so ridiculously hot. It wasn't even funny. I mean, I have no idea how many erections that woman was responsible for. But
and that was just Doug.
Lot. Yeah,
and that was just Doug and his mom. So.
Oh God! Yeah. You had to go there. Oh God.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.